The sporting gods are not do not look kindly when you try to tempt fate like that.
But then it's the regular contenders: Haaland, Vinicius, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo has finally arrived at the World Cup. Harry Kane, of course, not mentioning him, but he's right up there as well. The other teams, they look a bit more attritional.
I think Scotland will look at this as a return to basically national competition. You know, they were away
Prominence,
for.
yeah.
Welcome to the Dugout. Today is Friday, June 26th. We're recording ahead of today's set of 6 matches. Gentlemen, how are you guys?
Great.
So let's start off with the A-listers. And by the A-listers, I mean the race for the Golden Boot. We have Messi with 5. We have Haaland. Vinny came to the party. Mbappe, of course. Haaland and Mbappe play later today. Gentlemen, your thoughts on what's been a wonderful World Cup as far as the stars showing up. We were worried about Cristiano, but he showed up to the party as well. Mustafa, can is this going to continue this streak of basically where the big name players show up, or is someone who's a little bit less known, maybe a Cunha sneaks in there, maybe a Balogun sneaks in there and takes that golden boot away from one of the marquee names?
Right now, I have to think about so like basically all the big players have scored goals and are leading the Golden Boot race. So I now have to think about which teams are going to go furthest to decide this, right? So I'm thinking of France if they win, which I do think they win against Norway, they have a probably a very good chance of getting to at least the semifinals, right? So I can see Mbappe scoring another, four to five goals, honestly, right? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm at right now. What I'm thinking, France can probably proceed the fastest because Argentina has a lot of like messy matchups coming up. If the cards fall that way, right? Like we'll talk about
No,
it later.
no pun intended on that messy matchup. Hazy, your thoughts?
Well, the problem is like the two hottest contenders apart from these regular names like Haaland and Messi is going to be Robbie from the Netherlands and Ismail Saibari from Morocco. They're going to clash very soon. So one is going to cancel out the other, unfortunately. Maybe Balogun, the way he's been playing, he's been looking razor sharp for the US, like you mentioned. He's a good name to watch out for. But then it's the regular contenders: Haaland, Vinicius, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo has finally arrived at the World Cup. Harry Kane, of course, not mentioning him, but he's right up there as well. The other teams, they look a bit more attritional. They don't have that top, goal scorer, that go-to guy. All the smaller nations, they've been basically parceling out the goals between them. So I think maybe Harry Kane could likely be the outside contender. Vinicius is doing well, so it's going to be one of the superstar names that is certainly looking most likely to get the Golden Boot for this World Cup.
I think one of the other things that's happened is in this expanded field of 48, you've had a lot of chances for these players to stat pad, as you guys say, early on. I think as the field narrows, you're not going to have these games where these players are scoring 2 goals in a game, 3 goals in a game. Yes, Mbappe potentially has 5 more games to go. I don't think he doubles his output, for example, and goes scores 10 goals coming out of this World Cup. I think it'll get a lot tighter as things go forward. Kane's a good shout. I think we forget because recency bias is a 0-0 that England had against Ghana, with of course him missing a pretty easy conversion. Mustafa, you brought up Cunha as a player for Brazil to look into after their first game, and of course he's now on 3 goals. Do you think Cunha could take away some goals from Vini and potentially pip him to the top of that leaderboard for Brazil?
I mean, I would like that. He's one of my favorite players at United, but at the same time, I have to look at Rafinha is out. They're bringing in Neymar now as well. I just feel like there's going to be too many mouths to feed in that Brazil team. Where I and like Vinny is still their talisman. He's still going to be their penalty taker. He's still going to do all of this, right? Where I just don't think, as much as I think he's still going to score more goals in this tournament, but I just think Vinny is going to outpace him.
From the superstar, let's go to the non-superstars or the disappointments of this World Cup. Yesterday, Turkey finally showed up and beat the US in the last minute, 3-2. But they were, of course, eliminated before this game. It was a dead rubber game. The US played its backup. I was to me, between them and Czechia, probably the two most disappointing teams in this World Cup. You know, that's a star-studded Turkey team. They have players who play at the top end, both their national league with Galatasaray, with Fenerbahce, with Besiktas. They're good teams who play in European competition and progress in European competition, whether it's Europa League or Champions League. So as if you look back to our preview, this is definitely one of the disappointing teams in the World Cup. AZ, your thoughts on some of these disappointing teams between Turkey, Czechia, so on and so forth?
Well, Czechia were more of an obdurate side, not didn't have many goals in them, so it was understandable that they didn't do much at this World Cup. But Turkey, for sure, with the likes of Arda Güler, Kenan Yildiz, Hakan Çalhanoğlu, Merit Mulder, Mary Demiral, and of course so on and so forth. Baras Yilmaz, so many big stars. Certainly high expectations. They just couldn't find the goal in their first two games. They had what 30 odd shots on target, respectively, in each game, and just couldn't get it done against Australia, and got that sucker punch in the very first minute against Paraguay as well. That goal line miss they had against Paraguay, if they had just drawn that game and kept their World Cup hope alive. Of course, they had that stunning victory in stoppage time yesterday against the US. Like you mentioned, it was a second string US side, but finally the law of averages went their way. Arda Güler finally getting on the score sheet as well. Very disappointing because I felt Turkey, like Morocco, could have been a mover and shaker in the knockout stage, and unfortunately, their World Cup journey has come to an end. Vincenzo Montella, I don't think he's gonna hang around. Probably look for a job in Serie A. So Fatih Terim is always there. The talisman is always there to take them forward. He will never say no to the Turkey job, but maybe this was a few years early. Kenan Yildiz is still very young. Arda Güler is still very young. Hakan Çalhanoğlu still has some juice. So maybe in 2028, 2030, we'll see the best of Turkey.
Yeah. I
Mustafa, your thoughts?
Yeah, like technically, like the more disappointing one for me is like as much as like how talented Turkey is, right? The more disappointing one for me, especially how they started out, and yes, they haven't been knocked out yet, of course, right? Is of course Scotland, because I think they were completely outclassed in that Brazil game, right? Like Cunha and Vinny were dancing for fun throughout that game, and they felt overmatched. And McTominay has had like we're all like me and Az are great admirers of him, right? And we like he really hasn't done that much this entire World Cup. He hasn't, like we thought he would, right? He would be that talismanic figure for them, essentially, right? Which he really hasn't been.
You bring up a very good point there. McTominay, of course, and I'll ask AZ about this. He watches a lot more Serie A. McTominay, of course, took Serie A by storm after having a middling sort of career in the Premier League. And now you look in the World Cup, he's again had a middling tournament. Is this sort of crystallizes what the issue with Serie A is and the reason why Italy hasn't made it to the last three World Cups? That the league, the talent in the league, the competition in the league just isn't good enough to help that national team. And you see it, players who otherwise take that league by storm are otherwise on different stages not performing. Is this more of a structural issue with Italian football?
There are vast issues with Italian football. I could perhaps spend another couple of hours on it, but structurally, for sure, there are problems. The lack of inventiveness, the lack of looking abroad or broadening their horizons in terms of coaching and practices is certainly another issue. But the bottom line is the dearth of talent. I think Italy just don't have the horses to run with the top European teams at the moment. I mean, who is the most world class player you can even think of as an Italian? Sandro Tonali. Spurs are about to buy him of Newcastle. They're bidding big money. A central midfielder, when in the past you've had Del Piero, Totti, and all these Maldini, Nesta. Maybe the defenders are still okay, but if Bastoni is considered the best defender of this generation, that also tells you a very sad tale because I don't rate him at all. There's been a lot of navel gazing, a lot of soul searching by the Italians, but in the end, there is a refusal to innovate. There is a refusal to look outside their own box. and that is why Italy have not been at the World Cup for the last 12 years. But coming back to the issue of Scott McTominay, I thought he's been unlucky. He's had a few hit the crossbar, few close saves, but I just feel that Scotland overall they don't really have much juice going forward. They're lacking that number nine. They've been confused between Shankland and Shea Adams, who should be the number one striker. They play with that dense midfield. I thought Gannon Doak has been very impressive, the right winger, but he's very young. And overall, in a group of Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, Brazil and Morocco are very, very good teams. I mean, Scotland finishing third, I think that was pretty much on the cards. And they didn't help themselves in that game against Brazil. They literally gifted them the first two goals. I mean, they got very lucky that Henry, it was given as a foul. Otherwise, that would have been game over. They just shot themselves in the foot in that game. And of course, against Brazil, who were high on spirits, high on confidence, they were never going to be able to fight back.
Yeah.
I think Scotland will look at this as a return to basically national competition. You know, they were away
Prominence,
for,
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah, they were away for a quarter century. Their fans took over the US, various towns that they went to. They had a great time in Miami, great time obviously in Boston, so on and so forth. Uh, they,
I'm
you know,
hearing Jalen Brown to Celtic rumors. The wrong Celtic.
the wrong Celtic. Um, let's move on. Let's come to some of these round of 32, round of 16 potential matchups. Again, we're recording on Friday. We still don't know. There's some games that are locked in. For example, let's come to the big game that's locked in. That's the Netherlands and Morocco game. To me,
Hmm.
this bracket that they're in of these four teams that are locked in, Netherlands, Morocco, then South Africa, Canada. One of these teams basically will get into the quarterfinals. And for the Dutch or for Morocco, if you win that first game, you have to like your chances against either the winner of the South Africa Canada game. And hats off to South Africa. You know, first game, two red cards. We thought that was curtains for them, but they Bafana dug in there. They dug deep and they pulled it out, coming second in that group. Um, your thoughts, Mustafa, on this quartet of teams? Um,
First and foremost, I would like to apologize to Sithole, the man who was getting memed for the entire first match day, but ended up having a very good performance in their latest win and helped them qualify. As I've said before, I rate Morocco very highly, and I do think they can have a very good run into the semifinals again, right? But the Netherlands are also good. They are very, as they've always been, a very technical team, a very put together team. They've always had a system, but they do have Ronald Koeman as manager, right? And that is always going to put me at like at unease essentially with them. Though I do see them, I'm not impressed with Canada. South Africa is a good bounce back, but I think they're going to be easy. Either team is going to be bounced back by Netherlands or Morocco. Whoever gets out of this game honestly should be one of the should get to the semis even, because the quarters even is who is it going to be against? It's going to be like Germ like their only really difficult opponent is probably France is probably going to win the game today, right? So it's going to be probably France versus one of these two teams, right? So a quarterfinal might be the height for them.
The problem is this matchup is coming too early in the World Cup because I'm a massive fan of Morocco, as you'd
Mm,
expect. And Netherlands, I think they have a lot of juice. They have that bench strength as well. And it's very, very unfortunate that they're running into each other so early in the tournament. This would have been a potential semi-final for sure. But like we see, there is a collision course of Argentina, Uruguay, maybe. If things go wrong in Spain's bracket, there could be an early clash as well. And Morocco, Netherlands coming so early in the World Cup. I think Morocco certainly have the confidence. They have the juice. Netherlands have the confidence, have the juice. So it's very, very unfortunate that either of these sides is going to be KO'd. South Africa, Canada, that's interesting because the way South Africa played, I mean, nobody thought, absolutely nobody thought that Korea would, as they say, S the bed as they did against them. Maseko with a wonderful goal. And you never know, Canada, they're a very enigmatic side. They're very ill-disciplined. They play way too much on passion. They're a bit of, some of them are passion merchants a bit. I just feel that the coach is not doing a great job, but he's got them into the second round of the World Cup. So hats off to Jesse Marsh. And if South Africa can just start well, if they can frustrate them, I'm sure they can get that odd goal, do a smash and grab, and we could have early heartbreak for the hosts. But a lot will need to go the Bafana's way. The defense seems to have sorted out. They have an excellent goalkeeper, and if they can just nick one early, take a lead early, or at least make Canada frustrated and commit more fouls and make errors, I think Bafana have a decent chance against them.
Quick question for you before we move on. Do you think it'll help Canada to not play in Canada? You saw in that first game, they seemed a little jittery. In that third game, again, when they lost, it didn't really sound like, looked like they were a little overwhelmed at times. Do you think this could actually help them, the fact that they're not playing in Canada?
I think that's an excellent point you make. Of course, the Canadians will travel heavy all over North America, but certainly they just look too amped up. They're too juiced when they get out there in the middle. And maybe, certainly, that's an excellent point you make, Doc. Playing away from home, just having that slight pressure of slightly less. And could make it interesting. Maybe they'll really show themselves. They do have quality. They do have quality up front. They've got pace down the wings as well. So it should be a good game, especially playing away from home.
Mustafa, I have a question for you. You know, AZ brought up that this game is probably a round or a couple rounds too early, but you look at a potential France-Germany round of
Mm.
16 match. You look at Brazil-Japan in the round of 32. Do you prefer it this way, or would you like to basically leave all these big teams to end up sort of playing each other in the quarters? Because when you have 48 teams, of course, you're going to end up having some of these spicy matchups. To me, the more box office matchups you can have throughout the tournament, the better. And to me, a Netherlands Morocco, yes, it's early, but I'd rather it be Netherlands Morocco than watch a Netherlands Cape Verde and Morocco, someone else. To
Bosnia.
me, it's yeah, for example.
Yeah. But like, I'm completely on your side because the reason of having a giant World Cup is so you can have these games spread out more, right? Where you have where like it got what has happened now with having this big of a World Cup is one or two big teams are always playing, and there's always some competitive matchup every single day, and that is obviously continuing into the round of 32 because we already have some really blockbuster clashes because Japan has completely wowed. Like, I know we're eventually gonna get into that, but like Japan is wowed and Brazil is Brazil, right? So I'm very excited. It's gonna be sad to see one of Morocco or the Netherlands go, but that's football. It's a game of wins and losses in the World Cup. It's just what happens. Someone's gonna get knocked out.
Easy, let me come to another quartet of teams that's more or less locked in: the US, Bosnia, Egypt, and South Korea. So the US,
Hmm.
Bosnia will play each other in Levi Stadium in San Francisco. They'll play the winner of Egypt, South Korea. Can you see the US getting out of this and reaching a quarterfinal? And if they make it to the quarterfinal, is anything after that basically house money?
I think the US are firm favorites in this quartet, to be very
Mm.
honest. They play with pace, they've got technique, they've got quality. And, Christian Pulisic is finally back to full fitness. He looked pretty threatening against Turkey as well. He provides that creativity, that directness that they're looking for towards goal. Weston McKennie is playing really well. Gio Reyna made a case to get a starting berth as well. The bat forward is pretty solid. You've got Timmy Weah coming off the bench as well. So I think US is, like you mentioned, playing with house money, and they'll be absolutely gutted if they don't get past this round. And if they run into Egypt have got a lot of juice as well with Imam Ashur, Mo Salah, and of course you've got Trezeguet on the bench. You've got Zico at the side as well. Some iconic names. I think USA versus Egypt, that looks to be a great game because those both sides believe in scoring goals. Both like to play on the front foot, and of course you've got Omar Marmoush as well, who's being linked to moves away from Man City. He has a point to prove as well. So USA versus Egypt, potentially that's a really mouth-watering clash, and I think USA, they certainly are in prime position. This is the golden generation. They've got guys in their prime. They've got the ability to score goals as well. I think quarterfinal, semi-final run is bare minimum, and you never know which way the cards will fall. And you could see the US in a World Cup final at home with DJT in the stands. That'd be pretty manic. That would be pretty insane to say the least.
Yeah. I
Mustafa,
mean,
I have a question for you.
sorry.
Um, if you're Spain and Portugal and
Mm,
you could end up first or second,
mm.
do you tempt your fate by trying to manufacture a result, or do you just try and win and the draw be what it may? For example, If
Mm.
Spain wins or comes second, their draw is vastly different, and the same for Portugal. You could end up with a much different bracket. How would you approach it if you were their managers?
My system is very simple in sports. Do not tempt the gods. The sporting gods are not do not look kindly when you try to tempt fate like that. You play every game to win because I believe in karma, okay? And I believe this will turn out wrong. I know there's strategy sometimes, but sometimes I think you just have to go out, play your best on any given day and hope you win, right? And I just think the way if you're going to manufacture it somewhere it's going to be it might manufacture against you as well, right? And like we have seen upsets in this World Cup already. Okay, we just saw Cabo Verde. We saw Cabo Verde draw to Spain, right? You,
Ecuador.
Ecuador
Ecuador,
to
Germany. Yep.
Ecuador, Germany. You don't want to tempt the fates. It's as simple as that.
No, I would agree with you. As Herm Edwards said, head coach of the Jets, we play to win the game. So
He, he
I would
said
I
he
would
said a lot more other things as well.
he did say a lot more other things. He was eventually fired because he didn't win enough games, but that was still the soundbite for
Well,
him.
I just
You
to
know,
address this point, I'm old school. I'm always want to finagle the system. If Spain can manipulate themselves into an easier bracket because they're going to run into an absolute gauntlet. So if they can avoid that, remember Lamine Yamal is still not 100% match fit,
Yeah.
and we clearly saw without him they look like a squad of passengers. Even though I felt that the tactics were off in the first game, not starting Danny Olmo was a massive mistake. They rectified that in that second game, and of course blew away Saudi. But I think if you can finagle the system, I always believe in that. That is always my favorite, my way forward.
AZ, of course, has been finagling the system since the '92 World Cup, in which you know, he
We were born finaglers.
snuck in there with a rain delay against England, and the rest is, of course,
Yeah,
history.
exactly. That's our history. So,
Well,
Yeah,
2017 is basically the exact
well,
same
that's
story
three
as
games, man. Come on. That's
same
not a
story,
serious.
same story.
That's not a
Sorry.
serious ICC event. Come on, man.
let's come to the match of today, which is Haaland against Mbappe. Obviously, it's two marquee strikers at the top of their games. Um, And the group hasn't been decided yet. If France win, they know that they have a potential against Germany in the round of 16. France loses, they play Ivory Coast in Dallas. Again, it's to me, I love the fact that there is going to be jeopardy either way
Mm,
because you'll end up with sort of this mini World Cup of 32 teams, but now it's a knockout. Um, because France Ivory Coast or a potential France Germany round of 16 game, either way are going to be two fantastic games for France to truly show themselves. As they say, if you want, if you want to win the World Cup, eventually you'll have to beat good teams.
uh, First and foremost, like I do want to say, like 5 years ago when we first saw Haaland, right? We saw Haaland in like properly on the world stage in the Champions League in 2019, right? And like we could all very clearly see Mbappe had already broken onto the scene a year earlier at the World Cup and with Monaco, of course, just a few like that earlier that season,
Couple
right?
of years earlier, yeah.
Yeah, like a year earlier. But we all kind of knew that these two were supposed to rule the generation, right? Like they were going to be the two star. Like they weren't going to be Messi and Ronaldo. It's very hard for anyone to be Messi and Ronaldo and have that same type of rivalry, right? But it's kind of weird for me to for neither of them to have a Ballon d'Or, right? But like I still think Mbappe is easily the best player in the world to me right now, right? And Haaland is not far off either.
It's the matchup you live for, basically.
Mm,
And good to see Erling Haaland on top of his game. He's really delivering for Norway. They have a lot of juice, they have a lot of pace. I really like the way they've been a very eye-catching side. They've got that three-man front. Sorloth is a bit of an odd fit, but they've got Odegaard behind him. You've got Pedersen, you've got Nusa, who's got a lot of pace as well. And France has been playing champagne football as they are.
oof.
I think the best goal, of course, we saw from maybe Barcola, but that goal that Japan scored against Sweden, that was a real beauty as well. The technical football and that extra gear that Le Bleu can discover. I think it'll be tested today. I'm expecting goals. I've gone for a 3-1 prediction for France once again.
Mm,
I'm expecting Mbappe and everybody else to come good. Desiree Doué was on the bench in the previous game. Maybe did they take it a bit easy? We'll find out if he starts this evening, of course. And we saw, of course, Ousmane Dembele finding his footing in the World Cup as well. There's some pressure on him as well. It was a great move to get Manu Kone into the midfield
mm,
rather than Chouameni. He offers that dynamism, he offers that vertical passing as well. And Mbappe is right on top of his A game. I think being out of that toxic Real Madrid environment has really helped him because he is the go-to guy. He is the be-all, end-all for France, and he started this World Cup campaign like a house on fire. A lot of question marks around him, but the dictator is looking solid, and this should be a great game. This is going to be fun.
Last question. There was reports today that obviously the 2030 World Cup is going to be in Uruguay, Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. The 2034 World Cup is going to be in Saudi. The
Very likely.
there's a report today that the U.S. will consider bidding again for the 2038 World Cup. My question for you
Oh, come on,
Oh,
please.
come
We can't do these
on!
timings again, dog. Come on.
is it too soon, or would you like it to go to say a China or someplace else? Because Europe is done, South America is done, North America is done. Yeah, Europe will be done as well with Spain, Morocco. We haven't done Australia, haven't done Asia again. Africa, they'll
We're
have
not doing
touched with
Australia.
Morocco,
No way.
Yeah, no, we're not
I
doing
think
Australia.
Korea, Japan. Korea, Japan. Let's go. Let's
Korea,
go there
Japan,
once again.
China,
Korea,
potentially in
Japan.
2038.
I think
That's a
I
lot of baggage if you're including China,
yeah, yeah.
man.
But I
Korea,
think
Japan is already a lot of baggage, to be fair.
yeah, but I think China is legitimately the way to go because
In
China has
2038.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
China.
China.
one big
I
nation that hasn't done it yet.
yeah, they haven't done it yet, and like also like they have
Can we
like
co-host at least one game? Maybe we'll get direct entry to the World Cup.
but like I'm saying like China.
That's a very good point. A China-India World Cup would be fantastic.
No, yeah, you don't need to say them. We'll
No,
go. Yeah,
because
we're
also like
brothers of steel. Come on, man.
no, but like also you have to think about this as well. Like technically, like some find the roots of football, right? They technically go back to China as well, right? So there's a lot of history there that you could tap into. And like let's be very honest, World Cups are just better when they're in cultural hubs, right? That have like
You're
history.
gonna call America a cultural hub? Come on, man.
No, no, no. I'm not calling. That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not
That's
calling.
why his point was
Ah,
this.
okay. But it's a
Yeah.
good World Cup. I'm having
No,
fun.
no,
It's
no.
good.
It's a
It's
great
fun.
word. I'm having so much fun.
But
But
AZ,
like,
if you had another World Cup in 2838, you know that Jerry Jones isn't keeping this stadium. He's going to build something new for you guys. Don't
But
don't
I
you want
think
to have it?
Gianni Infantino, if he can unlock China, I think that will be his lasting legacy
That'll be
because
his lasting
he's pretty much
legacy.
the number two or number three villain in the world right now. But if he
yeah.
can unlock China, then I think that's a legacy to remember for
I
him
I
as well,
agree with you. I
for
think
Baldy.
just like the Beijing Olympics in 2008 were absolutely fantastic. You remember that opening ceremony, Bird's
Mm.
Nest, of course, Michael Phelps winning all those gold medals in that pool. The timings of that were great because they did it in such a way that it would be early mornings in Beijing and late nights here in
Phenomenal.
prime time.
I don't really give a toss about Olympics, but that was a
Yeah, that
phenomenal
phenomenal.
one. Love that one.
And I suspect a FIFA World Cup in China in 2038 would also be equally magnificent. Thank you, gentlemen. Lots of games to watch. We have 12 games coming up Friday and Saturday, and then interestingly, just a one knockout game on Sunday, which is of course South Africa, Canada. But Monday morning we're back with three knockout games. Keep it here. We will continue to provide you coverage on a regular basis. Let us know in the comments if there's any topics you'd like us to discuss. Shoot us an email or message us on X. Thank you.